betting on a game. No woman's gonna tell us what to do. And I've been over here just drinking beer and making that noise. Baby, I'm hanging with the fellas, bussin' with the boys.
Bro.
There you go.
There it is.
Welcome to another episode of Bussin' with the Boys. I'm your host, Will Compton, the boy Taylor out in Canada. We got the boys in the back, Mitch, Jack, G. We're going to have an incredible episode this evening, this morning, this afternoon, whenever you're tuning in and watching it. If you're tuning in and watching it on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe. If you're listening on the way to work, if you're listening in those headphones right now, make sure to subscribe on basically anywhere you get your podcast. That's how you can support the boys. That's how we keep this thing going. Before we get into everything, because we got a laundry list of some house cleaning, housekeeping, whatever we want to call it. But this episode is presented by the one, the only, the Chevy Silverado. And if you see me looking up right now, we've done some upgrading in here. We got the monitor raised at a higher level now. It's on a nice little swivel, so we don't have to battle with that. What else happened? My little microphone arm, the boys got this thing lower, so that way it's not in our face. But we're doing some big things, but it's all because of the Chevy Silverado. Silverado summer, think of all the possibilities with the Chevy Silverado. From off-road adventures to do-it-yourself projects and hardcore work, the Silverado has the capability and technology to make this summer your best one yet. With 9 different Silverado models to choose from and engines that range from the Turbo Max to the 6.2 liter V8 and that Duramax diesel, you can count on the Chevy power and performance to get anything done, anywhere, anytime, any place, against any competition. Like many of you, we've been hitting the road a lot lately, and it seems like everywhere we go, there's an army of Silverados and Silverado owners. So shout out to you all. Game recognizes game, which brings us, before we get in, head to Chevy.com to check out the Chevy Silverado and all the Chevy trucks, the official truck of Bussin' with the Boys. Speaking of being on the road in our Chevy and seeing Chevys nationwide, we are going to be, our fall tailgate tours coming up. We're actually going to, once we dial in these last couple stops that we're trying to figure out, which we could use your guys' help on. If you're watching right now, leave a comment in the comment section. Harass us on Twitter and social media. We're going to be posting where we should go for our final stops, for our final couple stops. We're going to do 6 stops this year. Obviously, one's going to be the Bussin' Bowl, so you know nothing but Chevy Silverado owners out in the great state of Nebraska. But let us know where we need to go, because we'll be hitting the road. It's going to be it's going to be a fucking fun season. It feels, honestly, the vibe at Bussin' with the Boys HQ, probably the last week or so now, like leading up into it, you can feel kind of the urgency that's coming, the excitement with football season, but also the stress that I know you guys are feeling way more than myself. Like, I'm like, fuck, we got to do all these different things. We're going to be doing Bussin' with the Boys. Bet the Bus is coming back. Bet the Bus will be out I think we're going to roll it this Friday based on some things that we have to do this week. We're going to record on Thursday. That'll come out Friday. Bet the Bus is coming back. We got another show in the works that's going to be getting announced soon. Then also doing the Pro Football show out at Barstool, Chicago. We'll be hitting Barstool, Chicago on Fridays. And then our fall tailgate tours on the weekends, 6 different weekends this year. And I know from my perspective, it's like, man, we got a lot of shit coming up, especially September. We're traveling every weekend in September. But I know for you guys, it's like, there's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of shit happening. Some big meetings, one big meeting tomorrow that hopefully will help alleviate some stress from the boys. But it feels like we're more like, as excited as everybody is, we're also trying to get our head above water a little bit before the season's even gotten started. Do you guys have anything you want to vent on? Or
I mean, how much time do you have? No, yeah, I think you hit it pretty spot on. We got a big fall ahead. I think once we get into like the first weekend, maybe second weekend, I'm hopeful that most of the stress will kind of fall away. But you don't really know until you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, it's like, right. And the positive is, externally, it's a great problem to have, right? A lot of decisions. It's a lot of workflow stuff that it's like, okay, we really need to dial in some workflow, some streamlining some things, because there's just a lot on the docket that could get easily lost in the cracks if everybody's not on top of their shit. And then everybody's trying to pass the bag on whose fault's where. And there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen at times. But as good as those problems can be externally, if the internal isn't handled with all of that, it can create some internal conflict at times. And I'm not saying like, bad conflict, just you want everybody in a good high vibe mood when we're around each other on these tours, because we're going to be around each other a lot and just like, delivering everywhere we go, everything we do. But I digress. I don't know what that came from. We were talking about, the fall tailgate tour. I mean, last year we had a really good tour. We hit Michigan, South Carolina, Tennessee, Notre Dame. Where else? Because we hit another one.
Austin. Oh no, that was spring.
We hit Nebraska. Yeah, early in the year we hit Nebraska.
Yeah,
Georgia
Nebraska,
Southern.
No, Northwestern.
What?
Northwestern.
Yeah.
North Dakota. Was it North Dakota State? Oh, that's right. Nail biter. Squeeze one out. Squeeze one out in the president's suite. By the way, Ted Carter left. He's now going to Ohio State. He was the president that Nebraska bought in. Decorated background, military background, like a motherfucker. The vibe was high at Nebraska. I mean, he was part of bringing in Matt Rule, Coach Rule.
Who took his spot?
I don't know right now. Like that was something over the weekend that I was seeing. I'm trying to.
That's new news.
Yeah, that's new news. Ted Carter left. He's going to Ohio State. I don't know if it's to be president. Ohio State landed a good one. I know from everything I've heard about Ted Carter, like he's that dude. So that's actually a big loss for Nebraska. That's a big loss going into the year with Nebraska. It seemed like it was out of nowhere because we extended him past 2027, I think.
You're out here drinking the Rule-Aid though.
Yeah, I feel great about where Nebraska's at. Not great in a way that like I'm calling that we're gonna fucking take the Big Ten by air, land, and sea. I will shout from the mountaintop all year long with that. You guys know I'm not going to waver when it comes to my pride and fandom of the boys in the red and scarlet. What is that? The red.
Scarlet is red. Scarlet.
Scarlet.
You're not Scarlet.
The scarlet and.
Are y'all?
Yeah, red and white.
Scarlet.
I thought we were.
I think y'all just red and white.
Bleep that. Yeah, we got to edit that part out. Either way, I'm horny for some Husker football. The Cobs are husked for this Thursday against Minnesota.
Should we go through and we do a little prediction for Nebraska's schedule and see where we fall?
Absolutely. I think the time is right. If not now, when?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The over-under on Nebraska on the sport books is what? 6.5? The over-under 6.5?
I think it's 6.5, but 6 is a bowl game.
6 is a bowl game, but
You
6.5, we're talking at least 7 games.
You guys are the like one of two only Power 5 teams that have not made a bowl game in the past like 10 years, 15 years.
I think that changes this year.
Matter
of fact, I think I'll go as far as like I think I'm going to put $1,000 on the over. $1,000 on the over.
And you got Thursday night lights this week?
Thursday night lights.
Wow.
Thursday night lights. From week 0 to Thursday. Unbeaten in week 0. However, we get to essentially kick off the college football landscape for real. Like some of them, preseason games happened over the weekend. But all right, we got the Nebraska schedule pulled up for us. Nebraska versus Minnesota. Okay, over. We're going over 6.5. Nebraska, Minnesota. I think we start off with a win. And I'm only smiling because I know it's like, here goes Will again. But I think we start off the season strong. I've been watching that little docu-series that Nebraska's been putting out, and it fires me up. I know we got cats that aren't afraid to work, and that's what you need. And you got Coach Rule preaching the good message. Like, I think you want to start rewriting the chapters of Nebraska, and I think it starts this Thursday against Minnesota. So a win against Minnesota.
You are a 7.5 point underdog.
That's okay. We're always the underdog. Like until we win games, we need to be the underdog. By the way, if you want to, the spread is 7.5, take plus 7.5. Spoiler alert for Bet the Bus. Take those points. Nebraska, Colorado. I think Nebraska beats Colorado at Colorado. I think the stadium is going to be filled with red. I think Colorado's over under on the year is like what, 3.5 games? Not a lot of promise. I believe in Dion. I believe in Coach Sanders. I think he's going to get that program heading in the right direction. There's been a lot of change just in his first year with the roster and everything else. I just don't think they'll quite be ready yet. And they're definitely not going to be ready for the big red machine coming into Colorado. Week 3 against Northern Illinois. That's a win. That's our first home game. The excitement's night game. That's the first home game after starting off 2-0 with the roulette filled to the tip top. That's a win against Northern Illinois. Then you got Louisiana Tech, and that's going to be one of those games where you're 3-0 and you're sitting there in the meetings the night before a game and telling these boys, respect the fucking game. Don't sleep on these teams. We're not good enough. We're not going to be good enough this year to show up and win. You got to respect the game, because if not, they'll be celebrating on your fucking field. We'll be 4-0 going into the Bussin Bowl. Here's what I'll go ahead and say. We will drop a game, because I can't be naive and think we're going to go undefeated this year. A part of me does think we got a shot. However, I'm going to say we drop a game to Michigan. I do think it'll be a tough-fought game. I think it's a game where fans are going to be proud of the team that is performing in that stadium, of Memorial Stadium, to where it's like, hey, we might have lost this game and we might not win them all this year, but we're fucking trending in the right direction. That's what I believe with the state of Nebraska this year. So we're going to be 4-0 after Michigan.
Will that be the first game that Harbaugh comes back from suspension? Or
no, he actually gets to come back in week 4 now. I think it went from a 4-game suspension to now 3-game.
Okay, and that's week 5. Gotcha.
Yeah, and listen, Michigan's going to be a good football team. That's going to be one of the horses we need going into maybe the college football playoff for the Big Ten. It's going to be them. I think Penn State's going to be really fucking tough this year. I think Ohio State's going to be really good this year. Big Ten's going to have some tough football. Now, moving on to Nebraska, Illinois. At Illinois.
Illinois got some boys.
I'm going to say we lose 2 in a row. You guys want some fucking realism out of the boy this year? You guys want some, hey, reel it in? There you go. I think Illinois is a sleeper team. They're like a dark horse. They build their team off run game and defense. So you build the trenches. They got Bielema. I like Bielema. I think he knows how to build programs. I think he's trending in the right direction with Illinois. I think Illinois, we might drop a second game at Illinois. And it's going to suck. It's going to hurt. Like, it is going to hurt, especially when you start off 4-0 and lose a tight game to Michigan at home. You still got, like, we might be ranked at that point going into Illinois. And we could fucking lose again to Illinois, to where it's like, okay, reset expectations. Northwestern, put your purge mask on and dry hump those boys. We're taking that one for all they got. You go into Purdue at Nebraska, we're going to beat Purdue. So right there, what are we, 6-2? 6-2 at Michigan State. Michigan State could be a tough team. By then, who knows? I'm going to say we beat Michigan State. That's when I'm kind of going back and forth, because I look at the rest of the schedule. What people got to understand when we're talking about drinking the roulette and look at this promising, we got a promising schedule. We got a schedule we can win. We got a winnable schedule. We got to win the first 2. All that matters this week, first 2 games, obviously you can't see past what you got in front of you, what you got in front of your faces. But those first 2 weeks matter the fucking most, because we start off 4-0 like we're going to beat Michigan State. Maryland at Nebraska. Maryland sucks. Nebraska's going to win that one. Nebraska at Wisconsin. I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead, lay the sword down on that one. Wisconsin's a tough team. They've always haunted my nightmares. There's no leg for me to stand on when talking ill of Wisconsin. Nothing but respect for that program and the billion yards they've rushed on us in the years past. Yeah, that's always tough to relive. Iowa at Nebraska, the battle for the border. I think we finally get up on Iowa. And when I say finally get up, we beat their ass last year. We beat them. We were a whip dog going into the end of the year, nothing to play for, and we still turn around and whoop this team. And we're going to control the border again for 2 games in a row, 2 years in a row. George Kittle and the boys are going to have to bend the knee to Willie C and the Huskers. That, we just went what? 8-3. That's not out of the question. Is that out of the question? And where do you guys think I could be wrong on that schedule?
I mean, it depends where Michigan State is, but also the fact that you guys are 7.5-point underdogs Thursday, a bit worrisome. But Jeff Sims, your quarterback, is a dog.
I've heard good things about him.
He is an athlete. He's transferred from Georgia Tech. He's an athlete
He's a cat you want getting off the bus first.
for sure.
You know what I mean? If I think I'm wrong anywhere, you look at this week against Minnesota and you look at Michigan State. Those are going to be dog fights, right? But that's the beauty of the game. And that's why I'm still going to swing the sword for the boys in red and white. What is it? Red and scarlet? Yeah. Oh, shit. Yeah, Colorado's going to get drug a couple weeks in a row. Yeah. Garrett was just saying Colorado starts off with TCU, and TCU's a juggernaut. But I think the battle in the Big Ten this year is going to come down to Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Penn State's got a good squad. And you cannot sleep on them athletes they got at Ohio State. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr., everything that's come out of him is he's like the best wide receiver since Calvin Johnson?
The biggest question is going to be Ohio State's quarterback.
Throw it fucking deep.
Just throw it up to Marvin. I mean, you got Marvin, you got Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming, and probably some other freshman that's a dog.
Yeah. It's one of those things too, I don't know how the others are, but Marvin Harrison being as fast as he is, it's kind of like that Deshaun Jackson. It's like when we be on Washington throwing and practicing, they're throwing deep to Deshaun. It's like you almost underthrow him. It's like you can't throw it far enough. They're going to go get the motherfucker. Just bombs over Baghdad, dude. Throw it up and pray. Yeah. But it'll be a fun year. I'm stoked that football is back. You can just feel the excitement. College football, it's like pro football, the NFL, fantasy football, everybody's getting dialed in for, their picks, and it feels more transactional in the NFL. Everybody's excited. Everybody loves the NFL, but in college, you just feel the purity of the game a lot more. Just that spirit that everybody has fighting for their squads. Is Tennessee going to be a player again this year?
I fucking hope so, man.
Do you think so?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Heupel is the best coach we've had in decades. So I'm really excited to see this squad. We got Virginia in Nashville this week, home opener. Shout out Chris Long. He's my enemy for 60 minutes on Saturday, but I think we're gonna come out and beat the shit out of them. So
they're gonna be here.
Yeah, in Nashville at Nissan Stadium.
I'm saying Green Light Pod, Chris.
Oh yeah. Dr. Fax hit me up.
Yeah.
He was like, "We need to all link up," and I was like, I'm putting it on the schedule."
I think Tennessee. It's got to be fun to be a Tennessee Vol right now, just because you just got the feeling of being back. You know what I mean?
There were a few years where it was in a way almost embarrassing to be a Tennessee fan. It just wasn't fun. It was a job more than a vacation, and we're starting to feel good about it. I think the East is still going to be pretty tough. Georgia's always going to be good. But if we can sneak one past Georgia, I think we have a really positive season in our future. So we'll see. But did you say who you got winning the Big Ten?
I hate to comment on that because I want Nebraska.
Let's take Nebraska out of it. Okay. Anyone else?
I think it'll be Ohio State or Penn State. And I know that's a shot. It's like, you hate to say that because, the boys going to feel like that's just a shot at Michigan. It's not a shot at Michigan. I just think that they've tasted the last couple of years, and they're just not that ball club as far as that elite echelon level. That's wild to say. I need to temper that back. They're a great football team. They're just not. I think Ohio State and Penn State are going to be the teams to beat in the Big Ten this year.
When we were there to that Michigan golf trip, they seemed like they had some shit to them.
They should. They've been to the college football playoff the last 2 years. They should have a lot of excitement. But what I'm saying is they're feeling that. They're feeling that we're superior to Ohio State, and I think they've gotten a couple games on them. And here's where I think it gets leveled out. And also, I think people aren't talking about Penn State. I think people are talking about Penn State, but not in such a way that they're willing to say that Michigan and Ohio State are below them, I guess. And I think Penn State will be good.
I think Michigan's in that situation of anything that goes wrong is going to weigh more because of the 2 previous years. Because
Right.
it's almost now they're at the point where it is expected. So if you do have a shitty game against,
Nebraska,
or I don't know what their
Memorial.
schedule looks like, but every play is going to feel more intense.
Yeah.
It's just they're in that situation now. That sucks for them, but I think they're good enough, but it will come down to just composure and whatever.
Yeah.
Also,
Well said.
have
Well
you
said.
heard of
Versus
what
me just being like, I just don't know if they're that club.
have you heard what Harbaugh's doing the first 4 games for coaches?
No.
Like who's going to be the interim? I don't quote me on this, but I think I heard that for the first game, whoever it is going to coach the first half, and then someone else is going to coach the second half. And then for the second game, it's going to be the same thing, but 2 different people. That sounds chaotic.
It does sound chaotic, but it could be a play too to get some of these coaches who might be in situations for a better job. He's giving them exposure.
Right.
Whether or not, however, the operation flows, because maybe the operation will be the same, but it's just a different face in that title. So that way they can use it
Right.
or getting a better job. That's just me trying to play like, yeah, why would they do that? That could be like the positive spin on, hey, let's get some of these guys more exposure.
Right.
Because anytime a head coach is like stepping down, they want that guy who should be a head coach next or somewhere else. They try and throw, like, it's like when Vrabel goes down and the assistant head coach is like Ackerman.
Yeah.
And runs the show or is the face that stands there. That would be my guess. Outside of that's a wild thing to do. But I don't think they'll like
The game plan won't change.
game plan wise, it won't change. I think the same people are still going to be calling the plays.
Yeah.
It's just giving the exposure to those guys who could put themselves in a spot to elevate the next offseason, which is honestly, that is cool.
Do you have any predictions for the SEC?
Prediction for the SEC. Can you bring up? So Vanderbilt at the top, 1-0, sitting 1-0. Out of the East, it's going to be out of Georgia and Tennessee.
There's 2 on each side.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Out of the SEC East, it's going to be Georgia and Tennessee. And I think, I don't want to give them this, but I think South Carolina could be on the outside looking in a couple situations throughout the season. Like, this is a pivotal game for the season. I think South Carolina can be in those spots.
They got a big home opener this weekend versus North Carolina. Not saying that North Carolina is going to be some like tough juggernaut, but that's a huge rivalry. Just
and
you never know.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Drake May.
Yeah, and they're a high-powered offense. It's going to make it rain with a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, and what's his name? Juice. Juice Wells. That guy, he's nasty.
He is nasty. He's cool too. Rattlers last year. You just hope that, I don't know, you do get a good vibe from that staff and when we were out there at South Carolina. So I'm kind of got that bias of rooting for him. But the SEC West, I think it is, it's clearly out of LSU and Bama. I don't think anybody really has an outside chance of competing with those two at all. And I don't know the schedules of Bama and LSU right now, but do they play the big dogs of the East during the season? That would be the only way that they get in any type of dilemmas if they lose those tough games. But it's not going to be because of who's in their division. I think.
What's crazy is Clemson's 11.
Yeah, LSU will be tough, and I think who comes out of it is going to be. Yeah. LSU and Georgia is who I'll say is in the championship. LSU, Georgia. I know. But again, LSU, yeah. It's tough. SEC is a fucking toss-up, man. You got some dogs in there. Hey, listen.
LSU made it to the SEC championship with 3 losses last year. And one of those being to Tennessee by like 100. So think about that. Like, you can have 3 losses on the West or East and maybe get in if you beat just the other person.
At the right time.
Yeah.
At the right time of the year. Because that's where a lot of that SEC bias comes in, too, with making it in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
now I'm just
but-
going to start projecting.
Yeah, it's okay. We got weeks for that.
I know. We got weeks for that. So, yeah, I guess I think it'll be out of LSU and Georgia.
You think it'll be 2-2, 2 Big Ten teams, 2 SEC teams in the
I don't
playoff?
know, because I think USC has a chance to be that team in the Pac-12 if they don't drop any games that they shouldn't drop. I know they do. I know they always choke, but it's still set up for them to get in there. They have the easiest path out of all these conferences and teams. You know what I mean?
So if they make it, it's 2 SEC teams, 1 Big Ten team, and USC.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think, again, it all depends on where their records are.
This
At
is
the
the
end
last
of the
year of 4, and the next year it goes to 12. Fuck, that's gonna be sick.
Because I think you're going to get, it was kind of similar with the Big Ten last year. You're going to get a 1-loss, 2-loss, 2 Big Ten teams over a 3-loss
Outside.
SEC team to get in
Also USC's last year.
before they come over to that conference
Yeah, so I mean,
in
I
Texas.
feel like USC is gonna be trying to.
Hey, yeah, you can't sleep on the Big 12. We're really sleeping on the Big 12 right now.
But I mean, you had TCU last year, but we all saw what happened in the national championship. It's
Yeah,
just
but
like,
man, if Texas puts it together, like they're a team who can
I mean, they got Quinn
roll. Yeah, they're a team who can roll. If
Ewers, Arch
Yeah.
Manning.
Yeah, you got a lot happening with Texas to where they're probably getting bigger as far as physically, like to compete with those juggernauts in the SEC. It'll be fun, man. See, I think Texas will come out of the Big 12, USC in the Pac-12.
Oregon does have Bo Nix for his like 6th year.
Nebraska's going to come out of the Big 10, and Georgia's going to come out of the SEC. I know. What am I? You know what it is? I haven't done enough. I haven't got into it enough with the SEC because honestly, I want to say Tennessee. Like that's who I would want to. Tennessee?
Bazooka Joe, baby. Do not sleep on Bazooka Joe. He's dialed in. He's gotten a lot better over the last 3 years. A lot better.
I think it's gonna be hard to beat Georgia.
It is. That's why I'm.
Yeah.
That and we have to go to Tuscaloosa
I
this
know.
year and play Alabama, which is going to be a really tough road game.
USC, Texas, Nebraska, Georgia.
Yeah, because we played at LSU last year.
So
Yeah. Do we want to do an ad or
yeah, we can hit an ad. Let's hit an ad. We interrupt this episode to bring you Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus is once again your home to stream the NFL on CBS all season long. Your Paramount Plus account gives you an all-access pass 24/7 to NFL content all week long with CBS Sports HQ, Fantasy Football Today, NFL Slime Time, and much more. Stream Paramount Plus on any device at home or on the go and follow the road to Las Vegas as Josh Allen and all the big swingers in the AFC try to take down the king, Patrick Mahomes, and the defending Kansas City Chiefs, which they will. Watch all your local games live every Sunday starting at just $2.50 per month for 12 months. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to start your free trial today. The offer ends on September 20th, so get your annual plan today. Terms and conditions do apply. Stream the NFL on CBS Live on Paramount Plus. Let's get into our shout out, no free shout out. Let's get this thing rolling because I haven't even let the people know. Like Josh McDaniels, he sat down with the boys, the head coach for the Silver and Black, the Las Vegas Raiders. We had a really fun interview, a good 35-minute interview, sit down with them. An awesome story about Coach Vrabel, him back in the day when he was kind of running, being like a GA in that GA spot, running cards and how Vrabel would handle himself at practice. But really cool interview. I think Raider fans are really going to like hearing from him because he definitely has this persona out there that we'll get into. But before we do, let's do some shout out, no free shout out. Mitch, if you don't mind, brother, kick us off.
Yeah, I'll start off. My shout out, no free shout out this week stems from last week. We went to the Barstool Awards. Everybody had to be dressed to the nines. So where my shout out comes in is when we were walking to the venue where it was at, and you hear that dress shoe like click. Like you guys are just walking and you hear like you're wearing different shoes. You're not wearing sneakers. Like you can hear your
Dress shoes.
Yeah. That sound when you're just walking with your boys and like just dressed up to the tent, like to the nines, and just feeling good, looking good. Like we were just walking. I'm like, this is like kind of dope. Like we look good, we feel good, and we're about to go play good. So it's like, so that my shout out is wearing dress shoes and that sound that they make when you're with your boys.
Do you have a photo of yourself from that night?
I do not.
Damn, I would love for you to throw that in there because it's.
I wore the same outfit to a wedding, so I could like
throw that in there with your clip.
All right, yeah, I got you.
When you're dressed to the nines and he's just got a collared shirt on. I feel what you're saying though. That is it is a vibe. You almost don't know how to carry yourself. You're like, yo, low key, like we're a beast right now, but you can't act like a beast, right? Yeah, boys clean up nice. Jack, what do you got?
What did I do? Oh yeah. Mine is a pretty simple one in life, but my shout out, no free shout out, goes to when you are low on gas, you roll up to the gas station, put the card in, and you know, like the 3 premeditated clicks you do on the gas nozzle trying to get the gas to come out, and then it finally clicks and you feel that weight of the gas coming on. Does anyone like know what I'm talking about? It's that weight pull. It's like, all right, we're finally fucking here, and you feel it just fucking streamlining into the tank. You run in the store, you grab yourself a water or something, you chill on your phone, whatever. But yeah, it's that subtle little weight that you feel on the handle just grab. You're like, all right, no more work. We're just letting it do its thing. So that's my shout out this week.
Okay, man.
It could also be like a horrible feeling because of how much money's about to go in. Just like click, like, no. But my shout out, no free shout out, is going to go to, has to do with this time of year. Football is back, but it's when you open your said app where you check your scores and all that stuff, and you hit score and you have your favorite teams. And then when you see your college and NFL team finally on the same screen together, it's just that feeling of, holy shit, football's back. Like, there's that logo again for the next however many weeks it is. 18 weeks.
6 months, man.
It's an incredible feeling. Like, yeah, Alabama plays MTSU. Sorry to the Blue Raiders, but I saw that A pop up, and it just gives you juice. Hopefully this week's the fastest week of all time.
Yeah, dude, it is like, and then, you know, your TV asks you like, who are your favorite teams that you want to gear up for? And you're like, I thought I picked you guys already, but I'm excited to do this again. But it had like the best teams on it. And then they didn't have like Nebraska on there. And I'm thinking, all right, yeah, just pick the conference, Big Ten. Hell yeah. My shout out, no free shout out, is going to go to, it was the conversation we were having right before the pod, Jack. It's like when you know that the external world and Monday is trying to do everything it can to kill your vibe and hurt your attitude and give you a bad start to the week. Just a second, you lapse and give in and fucking say something like, oh, these motherfuckers. That type of like clench. But in that moment, you also grab yourself and you know, yo, it's Monday and I woke up with some good juice, some good energy, and nobody's going to bring my shit down. And you fortify mentally. And you push through knowing that you're going to crush the fucking week no matter what roadblock comes your way. Now, Tuesday hasn't happened yet. And neither has Wednesday. But Monday, you got to set the tone. And when you defeat the enemy on Monday, you can defeat the enemy the rest of the week. And that's my shout out, no free shout out.
Hell yeah. Almost as good as the gas one.
Yeah. The flow of gas. I'll tell you what, though, you gave me a pet peeve. Let's get into our pet peeves.
Let's do it. You want to?
I'll go ahead and kick off the pet peeve of the week. My pet peeve of the week is when you do get that gas flowing and you set it on that little click or whatever it is, and you walk away, and right when you're about to get in your vehicle, and mind you, your boy's in a nice Chevy Silverado, and I'm climbing up in that truck, and you just hear click, like it just loses it, and you're thinking, what the fuck is going on? And then you set it on the lower one. It's like, okay, I'll take a little bit more time. Yeah, I'll scroll the apps a little bit more. Maybe I'll find something better I want to listen to and just vibe for a second. Maybe I'll call that friend that I need to call back right now. And so you got to set it on the lower one. But then you start hearing it click again. And sometimes I think to myself, the gas pumps didn't used to have this problem. And for whatever reason, they're having them now. But my pet peeve, to get back to the pet peeve of the week, is when you set that thing up. What do you call that? God damn it.
Lock, clicker.
Yeah, when you set that click and it locks and it's just flowing and you walk away and right as you're about to get in your truck and you just hear that click and you got to stop, ass crack sitting on the outside part of your seat and you got to slide back off just to turn around and go set that thing back up again. And you hold it just to see what's going on. And then it clicks in your hand. You're thinking, all right, now I got to set this thing at the low end and ride it out. But anyway, that's my pet peeve. That's my pet peeve.
Love that.
Who wants to go next? G, Mitch, Jack, anybody? Keep this vibe going. Vibe of complaining.
My pet peeve of the week is it's something simple and it's super easy to get around. But when someone sends you a text message of an address and it's not hyperlinked with the line underneath it, what are we doing? I don't know why it happens that way. I don't know if it's from, like an Android to iPhone thing. I don't know why it happens, but why is it happening? Like, we got to figure that out. Every time you send an address, it just should have the link to it.
I'm with you.
That's my
I
pet
agree.
peeve.
I agree. That's
Then you got to copy, paste. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's a good pet peeve.
I got a lot of shit going on.
You gotta
Save me a
copy,
little bit of
paste in
time.
your own chat box, delete the rest. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my pet peeve.
Yeah.
Apple.
I also feel like this is something parents do, but when someone sends you a screenshot of an address, it's like, hey, it is actually easier to just link this. Yeah.
Jack's like, God damn it, Dad.
I'll go next. My pet peeve of the week is people who are shitty to service workers, specifically like restaurant employees. People who think that they're above like the law, and just because they're paying for like a $20 entree at a fucking Chili's, that they can yell at some poor innocent woman who's just like trying to make enough money to send her kid to daycare. It's like, be better. Like, it's not like the end of the world if someone like forgets your ranch or they mess up an order. And there maybe is a time or two in your life when service is so bad that it warrants some kind of response. And I get that, but I feel like at all costs, it is like always better to just be understanding and like not like be like, what are they going through? Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe something's going on in their world, but like they're doing their best. And the service industry, if you've ever been a bartender or a server or a cook, it is a brutal industry to work in. So it like fucking grinds my gears when people take the smallest things at a restaurant and take that as an like opportunity to go in on some poor whatever man, woman, child. And I just fucking hate that. It's an immediate like red flag to me where I'm like, okay, you clearly are not the person I thought you were, and it immediately lowers my standards for them like almost forever. So if you're ever eating out with me and you're shitty to a service worker, I'm gonna think badly of you probably for the rest of my life. But yeah, let's just treat our service workers better.
What happened over the weekend?
And that was just in my phone. It actually
So you were speaking
happened.
to something that felt
That
like
happened
close.
that happened this summer, and I'm not gonna mention the guy because one of my really good friends, but he was kind of drunk, and unfortunately the waitress. It took 30 minutes to get our drinks at first, and then it took another like 15 to get a server back to take our order. And then he like went off on her, and like one of our friends who's not very vocal snapped on him. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. And then it kind of was all resolved. The lady, she hopped to it. Our food came out super fast. So yeah, this wasn't something that just happened this weekend, but it's something that I will stand by very heavily. We have to treat our service workers better. They're not paid like incredibly well. And at the end of the day, it's like, dude, it's just another meal. We're gonna get it. So yeah.
I mean, that's a good one. That's a good one. I'm glad like you were able to vocalize that. Felt like it's something that's been in the basement for a minute now.
It was.
Yeah.
My pet peeve of the week is kind of, it comes down to situational awareness, essentially. If you walk into the bathroom and it's wide open, like nobody's at the urinals, nobody's in the stall, and you decide to go into the stall to pee, and then somebody else comes in behind you and like they have to poop, but you're in there peeing in the stall when the urinals are wide open, like what are you doing? The stall, unless the bathroom is packed, is meant for pooping. And when I like it happened like a week or two ago, I walked in.
All the stalls were taken, but none of the urinals.
Most of the time it's just like 2 urinals and a stall. So like it's you walk in, somebody's in the stall, there's nobody in the urinals, and you can just hear them peeing. And it's like, bro, I have to poop. Like, use the urinal if you just gotta pee. Like, just have that awareness that like, hey, somebody might have to come in and poop after me, or poop while I'm in here. So like, use the urinal. It like, and you're just sitting there waiting, and like somebody will walk in and be like, oh, like, I'm like, nah, I'm waiting for this because some asshole's in here peeing when it should be used for pooping. But my pet peeve is when
people pee in stalls.
People pee in stalls when there's open urinals.
Listen, I was trying to navigate through that a little bit, but I'll get on board with you. If you're not going into the stall to sit and pee, you shouldn't be in there, right? But I'm saying, he's saying that they're standing. If somebody sits and pees, like, there's at least you're sitting and peeing, right?
At least it kind of looks like you're pooping.
Right.
But if
it's like, who is anybody to say that? Because anytime you poop, you're probably pooping and peeing.
Yeah. But like, if you're just strictly going into the urinal or to
pee in a stall, that grinds your gears.
Yeah, that
stop doing that. If everybody out there, do not fucking do that, especially when you know Mitch is in the building.
Because I got it. Like, you got to go. You got to go.
You got to take a dump.
Yeah. So that's my pet peeve.
I can get on board with that, brother. Yeah, so if you guys are watching right now, go ahead and drop comments, pet peeves. What else do we have here? Do we want to get into Dude Wipe Shittiest Moment, tier talk, twisted question? Do we have a twisted question? We get into the interview. Should we hit some twisted question? In the theme. No, we got to hit that. What else are we going to fuck? Yeah. The twisted question. Here's what we'll do. We're going to do the twisted question because in the light, in the theme, in the good vibes of college football being back, we do have a twisted question is brought to you by the Twisted Kings of Twisted Tea. Perfect for pool parties, perfect for tailgates. Like, listen, at the end of the day, if you're not at the tailgates, watch parties, you're hosting a party at your house and you don't have a fridge or cooler full of Twisted Teas, you're doing it wrong. You are doing it wrong this football season if you don't have a Twisted Tea in your hand. Grab a refreshing Twisted Tea today. They're essentially everywhere. But this twisted question comes to us. I want to say Garrett was brainstorming this boy. And it's essentially, would you rather go to the college football, would you rather your team go to the college football playoff 4 years in a row or win one national championship? Now, are we saying go to the national championship 4 years in a row and lose, or you win one national title and let's just say you don't sniff the top 10 the other 3 years? All right, so would you rather go to the national championship 4 years in a row and lose, or win one national championship and not sniff the top 10 the other 3 years?
You mean to start?
Go ahead, yeah.
You want me to speak from experience? I'd rather take the one.
Man, we got Crimson Tide.
I'd rather take the one just because for that 1 year you can talk endless shit. You know, it's like your one time to kind of just be like, you can't say shit to me. The other years,
and you got it forever, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it forever. But if you have if you're going and losing the other years, you have like, shut the fuck up. So I would pick one.
What about as a player?
As a player, one.
Mitch, what about you?
There is something kind of to be said about the consistency of making it back 4 years in a row, but then you always have that you guys choked or yeah, but like and to be like, to keep that and like to wear that for like essentially the rest of your life, it's something that's super, super tough. But also, if you win just one, they could say it was like a fluke. So like, I think I would have to go the national championship 4 years, because for consecutive years, you were the second best team in the country. Yeah, second best sucks, but it's like maybe you lose one of those games by like a field goal. Maybe you lose like some weird play, but to be able to go back 4 years in a row, I think there's something to be said about it.
So you're on the boat with 4 years in a row.
I think so, yeah.
Jack,
this is the easiest answer ever. You win one national championship. Who gives a fuck if you're second place 4 years in a row? Like, just like what Mitch was saying, you're not even a good team at that point. You're just good at choking. You're just Michigan. That's all you are. You're making it there, but you're not. You're making it.
Make it to the title game.
No, but our original thing was college football playoff, and Michigan is 2 more years away from being this exact example, because they are making it 2 years in a row and then choking horrendously. So, would you rather have one ring or have 4 years of stories of how you almost were a champion? It just seems so easy, in my opinion. The only thing I can think of to argue for the 4 years is that if you're making it to the Natty every year, you are most likely beating all of your rivals. And that, to me, is something to stand on. But at the end of the day, if my rival has made it to the national championship 4 years in a row and lost, I don't give a fuck if you beat me, you lost too. Like, we're all losers. There's only one winner at the end of the day.
Well, that's a spin zone you always have to put yourself in.
True. But I still would want to have one ring in 3 average years than to go to the college football championship 4 years and then be just like emotionally damaged goods for the rest of my life because you were that. Imagine being a senior, like in the locker room, giving the hype speech and be like, we've been here 3 times already. Yeah, we haven't done it, but this is the year. And then you walk back in as a senior like, well, we didn't do it again. And then you go into the NFL as a college kid and all the scouts are like, man, he's a great quarterback. He can do this and that, but he cannot close when the moment counts. So your draft stock's already dropping. You win that Natty as a senior. Well, after 3 average years, they're like, hey, they battled through, grit and grind. They made it through there.
What if you win your freshman year? Like, what if you win?
That's true. This is where we get into like a hairy, like,
yeah. Because low key.
Yeah, if you win as a freshman and then go average 3 years, you might as well just not even try for the pros, I guess. I don't know. But I still stand on, I would love to have one Natty, because in 20 years, when like no one gives a fuck about you anymore, and it's like your grandson's the one like throwing out 12-leg parlays on the college football championship, you can still have that ring on your fist. Or you can have 4 war stories about how you got a silver medal every year in your college career.
Or you're wearing 4 conference championship rings on your hand.
True. Yeah, that is true.
You pull from very good points, because
it's hard.
I low key was in the boat of the 4 years in a row, but the way you just spoke right there, almost, I mean, you might just want to win one because you're cemented in history forever.
Yeah, one Natty is all it
However,
takes.
in the moment, as a player, because look, at the end of the day, if I say 4 years, like I've never won a big championship, never won state, never won, obviously not a national championship, not a conference championship in Nebraska. In the NFL, we just won a handful of division titles, but nothing of substance in the playoffs. So I don't know what that sweet nectar tastes like. I know what it's like to be defeated, and it is like when you feel like you fall short of expectation, which ultimately every other team feels that way at the end of the year. If you lose the big one, right? If you lose the Super Bowl, you work so hard to get there only to lose. It's probably the worst pain that you can have. And you don't want to feel that. You'd rather just win once and then maybe be average the other 3 years. But also, think if you're a player and you're winning those 3 years, yeah, you do lose. And when you're talking on a high level of like being number 2 and choking, but those moments of beating your rivals every year, winning your conference championship every year, like being the standard year in and year out around the town, around the city, and the expectation obviously is so massive to where it is like, oh, this choke job of a team just couldn't get over the hump. It's like the Bills in the early 90s of the NFL. They went to like 3 Super Bowls and lost them all, right? Which they still had a documentary about it. So you would still probably get an untold story about that time, that generation of going 4 times and losing 4 natties in a row. But in those moments with the boys, all 4 years of being at the top, just not quite getting there.
I just feel like in that moment in year 3 and 4, the people who support you the most are the people who are going to be affected by it. Like, you're beating your rivals is awesome, but if you've been with this team and you're on year 4 and you've lost the natty 3 years in a row, you're like, yeah, we're doing great, we're beating whoever, but we're gonna lose in the natty. And it's like, then you're left sad every year. And to me, it almost is like a Joe Burrow situation. Like, I know he wasn't LSU, he came from OSU, but he won that one natty and is cemented as like now one of LSU's greatest ever. Yeah, but I mean, that's
You get that one season.
That's what I'm saying though. And like now he's like LSU royalty for 1 year. If he let's
And
say
it's something you can always like get with the boys and talk about. Like we fucking
that we put together a hard-nosed football team.
hey, man, if we could have done something the other thing, it's like no one gives a fuck about that anymore. That stuff's forgotten. But we got that one. You're right. I think I gotta go one national title. You swayed me. You swayed me. And thank you for that. Thank you for that.
What if, like we said, you win it your freshman or sophomore year, and then your junior, senior season is just like, yeah, you had that taste of victory.
So what I was also going to say is, so I had 2 answers. As a fan, I think I want to win it one time no matter what, because you have the bragging rights, and then forever you can pull from that year, right? It's like you get to pull from that 1 year in all of your spin zones that you have to create. But talking strictly as a player is where Jack swayed me, because I was kind of like, man, you go 4 years in a row, you're playing with arguably the best team in the nation 4 years in a row as a college athlete, and you're part of arguably the best defense of that generation. I know in my instance, like, you're on to bigger and better things. But in that moment of having that one championship, and now to your point, if you do it and you don't really put a whole lot into if you're not out there on the field pouring into that national championship, you're going to be one of those guys trying to like hold that standard. And ultimately, no matter what, you end up sad. But at least you get to be a guy that goes out still going to the natty every year because you are holding that standard. Man, you're right. Like, it's just every situation you can put yourself in a different chair, and I feel like the answer could be the same in a lot of scenarios. Because if you win your freshman year and you're on the sideline throwing the towel, but you're a player, it's like, yeah, you get to claim the national title, but you're almost claiming it more as like with your boys that aren't on the team as a fan and talking about the people you don't know, versus when you're sitting in around the table with the guys and the players, you almost just shy away from being in the conversation because you know you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Interesting. Hey, this is a good little question, G.
I got a little question with that. It might be too early for this answer, but would you rather hoist the old crystal football or the new national championship trophy?
Yeah, crystal ball would be awesome.
I think that one's just iconic. Yeah. And that's why I think it might be too early with this one.
Yeah, they just haven't gone.
But when you think back at the coach or player lifting it up and all the cameras going off and it reflecting off of it, like some of those are the most badass, so like memorable things.
That's how you know how good Bam is, because I'm just picturing Saban hoisting the crystal ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bam
at LSU though, too.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I think that crystal ball trophy is the one.
Yeah.
What is it?
There you go, G.
Yeah, like that too.
God,
college
back,
football's
man.
sick.
College football's so back, man. Oh shit. Like, should we get into should we do our tier talk? Tier talk or shittiest moment? Let's do tier talk. We interrupt this episode to bring you the Pig, Whistle Pig Rye Whiskey. Our tier talk is brought to us by Whistle Pig, the best rye whiskey on the planet. Sitting up here are 3 bottles. Their most popular, their aged 6-year rye whiskey, which is what they're most known for, that flies off the shelves everywhere at your local retailer, is their aged 6-year. Great drink. Their most sought after is their 10-year age Whistle Pig rye whiskey. This is phenomenal. I think this 10-year is my number 2, only to their age 12-year, but a great bottle nonetheless. And then Whistle Pig got an itch to make a bourbon, to get in the bourbon game. The one brand they wanted to do it with, there's a couple brands. You got KFC Radio, but also Bussin' with the Boys. They trusted Bussin' with the Boys to pick out their bourbon and put it in a bottle and slap their known, credible, historic logo on it and sell it. When you go to any local retailer, they're going to ask for the Bussin' with the Boys Whistle Pig bourbon. You can get it at any retailer that sells Whistle Pig whiskey, and it should be there, and it should have a sticker on it. Now we're going to get into our tier talk, and we know how everybody gets the floor solo when it's their turn to talk. A way to do this could be like, hey, this is the talking stick. You got to hold the bottle of Whistle Pig whiskey. Is there a name we can call it outside of talking stick?
Talking bottle.
Talking bottle. That's big head thinking right there, Mitch. So when you're talking and you're holding the talking bottle, yeah, working title, then it's your time to talk. But let's get into our tier talk. Our tier talk this week is going to be best things going back to school. Best things going back to school. High school. I'm thinking high school days. Best things going back to school.
School in general? Is it high school? Is it
Let's
college?
say high school. Should we say high school? Should we say college?
I feel like everyone's still playing college.
Is our demo though high schoolers?
But
I know everyone has that.
Everybody's got that nostalgia. Right. I think it was different. It was different.
Whatever.
I mean, in football, it's always like pretty straightforward when you're going into your first week of school in college.
Yeah, but mine's like a bit different because you were probably at Nebraska all summer.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Either way, let's.
When you're explaining what.
Yeah.
There you go. Back to school. Back to school. Whatever you want to do. It's your own. Yeah, it's your own. G, whoever wants to start it off back there, because I ain't doing it. Make sure you hold that Whistle Pig whiskey bottle loud and proud.
All right. I haven't done any research. All right. My tier 3 going back to school is just getting back in like a solid routine. I guess it can kind of go both high school or college. But like you have that, like I'm a schedule person. Like you have that schedule, you know where you're supposed to be at what times for how long, and then what you're supposed to be doing after that, and like so on and so forth. So having that schedule and that routine is big for me. My tier 2, this is gonna be more college related, but when you go back and you move in to like your apartment or your dorm or wherever you're at with your roommates, and like the 4 of you are just, or however many of you are just back together, it's like that camaraderie and the hype of like the first week and that first weekend out is just unmatched, because you're back with the boys. Who knows how long it's been since you've seen them last, and you just get to, like, you're just back, and it's like, we're here to run this thing and do it again. And then my tier 1, kind of obvious. Once you're back for school, football's back. And if you're playing football, that first Friday night game, Saturday game, that entire week, you were just laser focused in the meetings, in your workouts, in your practice. You're just like, oh, this first team is fucked. Like, I am so locked in right now. You couldn't, like, nothing's going to take me off of this. And for us, our first game was a rivalry game. It was called Battle for the Stag Hat. And it's like, so you win a trophy every time. We played Lycoming. We beat them like 15 years in a row. So it's not much of a rivalry game. Subtle flex. But that first game, it's like, it's hype. It's going to be crazy. Everybody from the school is going to be there, especially in high school. Friday Night Light, first Friday night of the game. The stands are going to be packed. You have that expectation of the year. Tier 1, football being back and playing in that first game. Brought to you by What's Big.
Yeah, Jack, make sure to hold it.
Okay.
It's probably more important if I'm just holding it, I guess. But if you're going to share your tier talk, make sure you're holding it so that way they can.
Yeah, I can go.
You doing one words?
So recap on a recap again. What was your 3? One, I got lost in your eyes when you started talking Friday football because that's my
3 was getting in a routine. 2 was being back in like your apartment or dorm with the boys, and then 1, football.
Those are good.
My tier talk for back to school, best things about going back to school. Honorable mention is going to be figuring out which of your boys are in your new classes. You show up on that first day, usually a half day, and you're like pretty excited to be there. Walk into a class, all of a sudden you see one of your guys, you're like, okay, it's about to go down this semester, this whole year, whatever it may be. So that's always fun. Especially because I hated school. So like the first week of school was like, okay, I don't have to actually do much, but I get to enjoy being here. And then you like get like depressed. You're like, fuck, I hate school. Tier 3, back to school fits. I love showing off a new pair of sneakers or a new sweatshirt, or maybe my senior year, we had a thing where we all got like children's backpacks, basically like Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles. We all kind of had like our own little thing. It's kind of like a tradition at our high school. So like that was fun to kind of show up and show off. You have like absolutely nothing in the backpack. You might have a football or like one pencil and like a crumpled up piece of paper, but it's all about the backpack. So yeah, just back to school fits in general. My tier 2 is girls. Is seeing those girls who maybe blossomed over the summer, or one that you remember from the fall, man, or from September, not September, the spring, and coming back and being like, yeah, I mean, time is really doing you a favor right now. Like, you're looking good. Maybe we have Spanish together. Maybe we have a class or 2 together. And that's nice. And my tier 1, obviously it's the boys. It's being back with all the fellas, but specifically in high school, it's like that first few weeks in lunch because for us at Brentwood, there were 4 separate lunch periods that would be like 35 minutes each. So you didn't know if you were in a specific lunch with certain people. And then you find out day 1, like who's going to be your lunch crew. So that's always nice to kind of like establish the order, the hierarchy. Like, are you like going to be getting dogged at lunch this year? Are you going to be the dog? So I always love being back with the fellas, back at lunch, kind of stirring up some trouble. So that is my tier talk.
The lunch one's a good one.
That lunch one is nice. I didn't think about that. My tier talk for going back to school, I think the honorable mention is going to be that first year you're going back to school and you have your driver's license in high school. Something about that, like you just feel it's probably like junior year for some people, maybe sophomore year, but when you can roll into the parking lot by yourself for the first time, I think that's a hype feeling. My tier 3 is going to be you've spent the whole summer and even the year prior figuring out who your new roommates are going to be. And when you get moved in, like Mitch was saying, that first week is unmatched with like your roommates. It's unmatched. Tier 2, I'm going to agree on the seeing who's in your class, like seeing your dogs. But then also seeing like what girls you have in your class and knowing if you got like a legit chill teacher or not. No matter what grade it is, high school or college, like, day 1 if it's going to be hell or not. So that's tier 2. Tier 1 is that first hangover in college. I think kind of tying it in with 3, but going out, you feel invincible. And then you wake up and you're probably going right back at it on that Saturday or whatever it is. So I think that first one is that first party.
Yeah. Love it. That's my word. We did forget to do words. You want to pass that one out? Boys, those are good tier talks. Nope. My tier talk. Honorable mention is going to be getting the teachers you want. Whether it's the spring before or leading up to it and you're trying to select those teachers, and the vets ahead of they've let you in on some background, like, hey, so-and-so's tough, so-and-so's easy, so-and-so's cool. Like, you want to be in those classes where you might get a little bit more leeway. You know what I mean? Or like to Garrett's point, how tight is it going to be in here? Like, are we going to be surviving? That's going to be my honorable mention. I really wanted to say that lunch table one because that lunch table one is all time. My tier 3 is going to be how you were saying when you get your license and that first time going back. My tier 3 is going to be, I don't know how you guys did it, but we got to, you get to select your parking spot, like first come, first serve type of mentality. So when you're older, the seniors going into senior year would camp at the school for that first day you could sign up because you're trying to get that first row. So it was like a cool thing at North County that would take place and happen. I just remember that year, like you have your license, you're getting your Chuck, he just got this GTO and he would bang fucking like Mike Jones. And those were just the days, man. But getting your parking spot when you have your license and everything else and preparing the summer, like preparing how you're going to go about it with the boys. My tier 2 is going to be getting in the classrooms with your boys, like with your friends. Like you just know it's going to be up all semester. And if you get in those classes, the best is when you get in those classes and again, like fourth period, knowing that fourth period is going to go into lunch. So you're running from your class with your boys to the lunchroom. You just know, like, yeah, running, bro. Yeah, we would run. But getting in classes with your boys. And my tier 1, there's nothing like Friday Night Lights, dude. The first week of Friday Night Lights, you're like, my hands are sweating thinking about it. Like the upperclassmen, that's whether it's pressure or tension or like, hey, I can't wait. You're just getting out there for the first time, or when you're being a senior and you're telling a young guy, you're trying to tell the guys like, this is fucking it. This is the year. We're going to remember this forever. Fresh off watching Friday Night Lights or something like that.
Might have a girl wearing your jersey down the hall.
Might have a girl wearing your jersey, your Letterman's jacket, just all of it. The spirit of Friday Night Lights in the air. The band is like playing in my head right now. And you just feel like we're about to just transition into some high school football scene at any moment from Bussin with the boys. But it's Friday Night Lights. That's my tier 1. And that concludes my Whistle Pig Whiskey tier talk. Fuck. Can we bow our heads and pray to the football gods? Now, all right, we're gonna kick off to the Josh McDaniel, Coach McDaniel's interview here shortly. This was a fun conversation. We got to sit down with him. He's got it's almost like he's angled as this uptight coach and everything else, the way he handles his business from being a Patriots head or being a Patriots guy and everything else. And low key, I was nervous going in to interview him because I just didn't know how it would be. I didn't know what kind of questions we could get, how deep we could get into questions. Because you want to ask about the Raiders. We got to ask about him becoming the Colts head coach a few years ago and then backing out, what he's learned since being the head coach of the Broncos. we got, again, I mentioned the Coach Vrabel, the fun stories with Coach Vrabel. He talks very highly for a moment, and I really tried stopping him. He really talked highly about Maxx Crosby and how well positioned their roster is going into the season because they are going to win the AFC West. What else did we hit on with him?
You asked him what it's like cutting people.
Yeah, cutting people. What it's like cutting people. How hard that is now, or how hard that is being a head coach. What it's like having Randy Moss as a cheat code. We got to get into some good Patriot stories. I got to ask him about like a movie scene, like how he motivates guys and shit like that. But I was nervous because I'm texting with my boys who are on the team, and I'm like, hey, what are some things I can get in with Coach McDaniels about to get the guard down? And they basically just said, man, I don't know. We had a shitty day at practice today, so it could be tough. And that just like kind of heightened the nerves. But man, he was awesome. Like he was cutting it up with the boys. He was telling stories. Like we had a lot of fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy this. But yeah, we got to get into cutting guys and what that's like as a head coach cutting guys, which can lead into, we can talk about our shittiest moment in light of the preseason ending. It is Tuesday. Oh, got you. It is Tuesday, which means this is the final day for cuts. So a lot of guys are getting released today. Today's like Grim Reaper, right? Like you either get called ahead of time and you get brought in. And as we get into the shittiest moment, the shittiest moment, getting cut, is brought to us by Dude Wipes. Stop using toilet paper, drop the TP, and pick up Dude Wipes, the wet, extra large flushable wipe that clears instead of smears. Wiping wet just cleans better than wiping dry. Get confidently clean with Dude Wipes that gets all the crap out of the toilet and all the crap out of your colon and doesn't leave any paper behind. You can pick up Dude Wipes on Amazon or Walmart and Target nationwide. So yeah, the shittiest moment of getting cut. It's like guys get cut in different ways. You either walk into the building and there's a fleet of these guys ready to just pick you off at any moment. I was texting with a buddy of mine the other day, which led me to that tweet. Like, imagine having to wait 4 days because the Titans just concluded their third preseason game on Thursday or Friday. And I'm texting, I'm like, hey, so how do you think it's going to shake up? How do you feel? And it's like, oh, we'll find out on Tuesday. They got to wait 4 days. And you got to practice those 4 days leading up to it. Imagine knowing that I'm on the bubble, I might get cut, and you still got to practice. You know the way the coach is treating you, like I'm not making this team. I didn't really get a whole lot of burn in the third preseason game. And my boy was telling me they cut you now with guys coming off the practice field. Like they just grab you like as you're coming off the practice field. So the shittiest moment of being cut, mine was my rookie year when it's like there was like a dark horse shot of making the Washington Redskins. And you're literally up the entire, like you just don't sleep well. You're trying to message assistant coaches that you feel like you had some kind of rapport with to be like, hey, what are you hearing? Like, are they going to keep 5 here? Are they going to, where's it look like I'm stacking up? What, you know, you just have no clue. And you're so nervous. Your anxiety's so high. And the next morning I woke up and there was an area code that called 703, I believe. I think it was. And you get this area code and you're just like, fuck, man, because you're just hoping nobody calls. It's like 6:30 in the morning. I'm texting my boys who are on the team, like, man, that just got called. So I'm thinking maybe you're out of it because you haven't been called yet. Sure enough, a phone call, 703 area code comes across my phone and it's like, hey, good news and bad news. Good news is we want to bring you back on the practice squad. Bad news is we're going to cut you. And make sure you get your playbook, bring your iPad in and everything else because we kind of got to go through the process. You get in this van and you're just going over with the boys who get cut. And then you go in and the Grim Reapers are standing there like on the railing. And they're like, hey, come back with me this way. They kind of take you through the ringer where you meet with the head coach, you meet with the position coach, everybody else just to pack your bags and get cut. But dude, getting cut sucks, man. Like it sucks. It's almost like when you know you're a bubble guy too, and there's a lot of not expectation, but everybody's excited for you. Like, it's like if you guys are my boys and you guys are in, like, I'm sure it's like this with Dobbs and stuff. Like when he was ever trying to make a roster or anybody else, it's like your boys are checking in like, hey, what are you hearing? Because you know you're on the bubble and everybody's rooting for you. So everybody back home when you're like, oh, I'm getting cut, you just feel like you're letting everybody down and like, fuck, man, like they all believed I could do it. I believed I could do it. And you don't get to play. You don't get to like, you know, you don't get to go out on Sundays. If you come back on practice squad, you don't play on the weekends or you don't participate in traveling. Now you do, but back then you didn't get to. And that was like, that was one of the shittiest moments. So getting cut, shittiest moment. it sucks getting cut. T's and P's of the boys going through it today. You never know. You don't know what to tell a guy. You don't know if a guy, like, he did perform bad and he did get cut, but one moment you're there right next to somebody and the next moment you're gone. And it's such like you don't know. You'll probably never see him again. There's so many guys that got cut, and even when I'd get cut, and like when I got cut from the Saints, there's just guys you'll literally probably never see again that you put sweat equity into to make a roster, to make a difference, to guys who celebrate in preseason. Everybody's like, let's save it for the game. Like, what are these guys celebrating a win for? And it's like, yo, these guys fucking put everything into trying to show out and have some success on the field, only to taste it a little bit, celebrate, and then those guys still might get cut. So getting cut sucks. That is the shittiest moment, brought to us by Dude Wipes. Yeah, it's tough, man. And a guy who might deserve to be on the roster, but it is a numbers game. And it's like, oh, he's getting cut, and you know he should be on the squad. But unfortunately, you need to carry an extra receiver, an extra DB that kind of trims down that list for him. You're just like, man, he deserves it over that guy who just got on the team. And it sucks, dude. You dap him up, you hug him. You're just like, man, you just hope they keep going. Because you're like, hey, you're still in a good spot. Like, I know it doesn't seem that way because everybody wants the fame. Everybody wants to be on that opening day roster. Then when you're on the opening day roster, everybody wants to be a starter on offense or defense. Then not, you want to be a big role on special teams, so you feel somewhat secure that you might not get cut. But man, it's tough sledding when those cuts happen. And it's just like the tough part of the business, but that's the shittiest moment. By Dude Wipes, let's get into this episode with Josh McDaniels, man. Episode 200, whatever. 239, Josh McDaniels, Raider Nation. You know the love we have, that Bussin has for you guys, that I have for you guys. We're winning the AFC West this year. You guys are going to love this interview with Josh McDaniels, but without further ado, head coach Josh McDaniels, big hugs, tiny kisses. Make sure to leave comments. We interrupt this episode to bring you the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports and Bussin' with the Boys, created by fans for fans, Game Time, the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sporting events, concerts, and shows, and they guarantee the lowest possible prices. Guys, this needs to be a staple in your app store, from your app store, in your phone. It better be an iPhone because Androids suck, but this needs to be a staple app on your phone because football season is here, and you need to score last-minute deals on your favorite local football games. And it's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you thought you could never buy. Skip the hassle and enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code BUSSIN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download the Game Time app or go to gametime.co. gametime.co. Enter your email. Oh, that's for the description link. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. Download the Game Time app or go to the website, enter your email, and redeem code BUSSIN. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Back to the episode.
Are we rolling? All right, so
Zig story?
Yes, we're talking about Zigs already.
Joshy McDizzle. Joshy McDizzle just walked in here, head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders, and he goes, "So you were Ziegler was your high school guidance counselor?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You must have been fucked up."
Yeah, that's right.
I was.
Yeah, that's right.
But you were asking his age. I don't know what his age was when he first was high school guidance counselor. Yeah,
Oh my
he
God.
He was a young.
He
I
was
roomed
doing-
with him. I roomed with him in
Yeah.
college.
He was
And-
doing tight end and special teams, and he was one of those dudes where it was like lipping,
Oh, yeah, of
yelling. He
course.
was a yeller, man. He got
course.
after it.
Yeah, we lived a little bit of a different lifestyle in college than
Yeah.
I did. Yeah, I was a little bit more straight laced, and he was not that.
He wasn't that
So,
way.
but it was. We've been kind of like peas and carrots since I met him.
Mhm.
I actually hosted him on his recruiting visit.
No shit.
no
Yeah,
shit.
when he came to Caro, because I was 1 year older than him,
Mhm.
and I could tell right away. I'm like, this guy. You know, he was looking for.
A good time.
He was looking for some fun.
Looking for
What'd
some
you take him
fun.
to do? What was
Yeah.
your
I think we
recruiting?
went to the horse track.
Oh no
I think we
shit.
did. I think we did. I don't know if that's
Must have been
I don't
nice.
know if
You guys
that's
win
legal
anything or
not
what?
anymore, but
Yeah. With the
um,
NIL stuff, I feel like
yeah.
everything's legal now.
That's
You can do
right.
whatever you
No,
want.
we had we kind of hit it off, and then we ended up playing. The two of us ended up playing on we did line changes at receiver.
Mhm.
But he and I were always in the game together, and he was exactly as you would imagine. You know, hand under the face mask, and always
Yeah.
trying to create some kind of mayhem.
Gritty.
Yes.
Yeah, a type of guy you want around.
Right. You do.
need
And
that
he's
bruiser.
a lot of fun. I've never been around him and not had fun.
He was a guy too that like you got him a job essentially. That's how he got out of being guidance counselor, correct?
Yeah. I mean, we had kind of obviously stayed in touch because we were good friends. And then, he had done a number of things since we graduated. And then when I got out there to Denver, we, kind of had a connection, and I just said, "Are you happy doing what you're doing? Are you interested in getting in football?" Because we were looking for some younger like guys to make their way in the scouting side, and he expressed interest, came out, and he's done everything on his own since then. But yeah, we stayed in touch, and that was how the door opened.
Business about relationships.
Yeah.
So he must not have
Always.
been. He must not have been happy being your guidance counselor.
Oh no, he was
Obviously,
not.
I don't think he
He's not.
was at that point. He
No.
might have been doing something a little bit different.
Well, he talks about Law and Order. He did like a cameo on Law and Order. He was a guidance
No,
counselor.
he did. Did he really?
Yes,
I did not know
yes,
that.
He did.
We
He
gotta find that,
talks
man.
about that, I think, in his introductory press conference. So he's done a lot of things.
Dude truly is incredible. He's like the reason why I was even eligible for college.
Yeah.
We talked about that on the show with him, man. Like he literally I had a 1.6 GPA. Like I failed everything.
Yeah.
And then he
he talks about his experience with that a lot, and obviously we have a 90-man roster now, and everybody comes from different backgrounds and all the rest of it. So his I would say his expertise in that area has definitely come into play. He talks about it often, and when we have guys coming from different places, we have to treat them different. You know what I mean, and handle different guys differently.
he seems like a guy's guy for sure. Being in the situation you are now, like 90-man roster in a couple of weeks, you're gonna have to make some big time cut. You're gonna have to cut a lot of fat off the bone.
Yeah.
So like what is that process? Cut me right now.
Yeah, it's
right now.
I've actually kind of in my head softened it a little bit in terms of because of the 17-man practice squad.
Yeah.
Or 16 plus, we have a international player. It doesn't feel like you're losing half your team. You know what I mean? You're going to end up eventually cutting, let's call it 20, from the 90. But it doesn't make it any easier. Those days stink. You know what I mean? If you're a human being and you have a heart at all, which Dave and I do, it's just difficult to, you work all year with these guys, all training camp. They pour it out on the field and give you everything they got. And, it's not quite good enough. So those are tough days.
Especially for the guys who got to be like the fringe guys, right? And then it does just become a numbers game where it's like you can be on this squad.
Yeah.
But we just have to go.
Yeah. I mean, and the goal for every coach and general manager, I'm assuming, is, to create as much competition at every spot that you can. So you want those decisions to be difficult. If they're not difficult, then your team's not very good. You know what I mean? So, I hope we have a lot of difficult decisions. There's a lot of competition on our team right now. And, when those days come, like I said, it won't be fun.
Did you coach Vrabel?
I didn't. I was on the defensive side for 3 years, and I didn't coach Mike specifically. But I was there when I think I picked him up at the airport, because I was like that guy on the totem pole back then.
Yeah.
And then kind of working my way through the defensive staff. But I was around him for those 3 years in 01, 2, and 3, and got to be around the anomaly that is Mike Vrabel. So he's
was he ever on the fringe?
No, on the fringe of the roster.
Yeah.
No, not when I was there. Not when I was there.
You're hoping, right?
No, you were hoping you could use that. No, but he was that guy who was, you were much happier that he was on your team, than not on your team. Because if he wasn't, you thought he was just the biggest asshole ever. You know what I mean? But he was our asshole. We loved
If
him.
it was your coach, you sometimes feel like he might be the biggest asshole ever.
I'm sure that could be the case.
The first year, 2018, his first year with the Titans, it was like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he treating everybody like this?
Yeah.
But he's done a lot of growing.
Yeah, years later,
Yeah,
we had him on recently, and we got you could just tell how nervous we were trying to be like, you kind of sucked your first
Neither
year.
one of us are on the team anymore.
Yeah.
And you would think, okay, now we can separate and move on. But
Sure.
there's
No.
this head coach vibe. You're like, sir,
Yeah.
good to see
Yeah.
you. How we doing?
Like he could cut you right now, and you're like,
you know what? You're off the podcast. You're like, well, how'd that happen, dude?
He's never going to lose that though, because he had such a good career as a player. He carries that.
he'll
He
tell you.
carries that. He had that kind of confidence as a player. I mean, there's nobody that he pissed off more than Brady. Because he would play scout team all the time, and so like he would do our defensive reps, and then what he would do is whoever was playing like safety, on the scout team, he would go in the huddle and go, get out of here, and he would throw the guy out of the huddle, and then he would play safety, and of course he would never do what the card said to do,
Mhm.
which pissed Brady off to no end. You know what I mean? It's like, well, that he's not going to do that, Mike. And then he would go, cry today. You know, like
Yo, that
the
is
whole like,
awesome.
oh yeah, he would. Those two had legendary battles going back and forth and all the rest of it. But Mike was always the agitator. You know what I mean? That was part of his shtick.
Billy B was okay with him going in and fucking up a scout rep.
Oh, he didn't really. No, he didn't care. Again, he just, his thing was always like, well, you got to read it out. You know what I mean? If the safety's not where he's supposed to be, then throw it somewhere else. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
So it was kind of he didn't really mind that. No.
You seem like the Patriot. That sounds like so contradictory to what you hear as players. You just hear like the Patriot way. It's like the hardest practices. 2-a-days are just, they wish they could have him back. So to hear that Mike was
Oh yeah.
just fucking around a little bit
Yep.
and mess with it seems like very out of Bill Belichick.
But
character.
Mike, but when Mike was out there doing his thing, it was always the way you would want it to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, it was both ways. Certain guys got a little bit more leeway.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean, than others,
Absolutely.
as it always is.
Yeah.
So, no, those were the guys we had back then. It was such an old school team. Brewski, Harrison, Vrabel, Ty Law, McGinnis. Like they just kind of, they kind of like
Oh,
could handle their own locker room. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it was just the way it was, and went out to practice, and they kind of held the standard.
There's a legendary tale of Mike Vrabel saying that he would cut his piece off to win a Super Bowl.
said that in 2019.
Something like that. They went to
Season
the
of
AFC
2019.
Championship, and then he said, "No, I actually won't do it." And then you guys lost.
We lost to the Kansas
If
City
he would've
Chiefs
just held
right
on
after
to
he
it.
said he would actually not cut his piece off.
Yeah.
I guess what the segue is here is, what are you willing to do to win a Super Bowl?
Just,
Las
I want to
Vegas
work
Raiders.
hard. I might give a finger or something,
Yeah,
but I
no
mean, I'm not.
piece.
No, I'm not doing that.
That's not happening
Can't
for
do
you.
that. No.
What now being with the Raiders, what do you feel like you've learned since your first stint with Denver as a head coach, and now getting another opportunity with Vegas?
You got to do it your own way. And I think when I left the first time, there was such a. I didn't have a lot of wisdom about how to do it other than what I had seen, and what I had seen was great. But you just can't go somewhere and just replicate that immediately. That's impossible. You know what I mean? And I was trying to do things that I had witnessed, but it just really, that doesn't necessarily fit, especially when you're 32, So I made a lot of mistakes myself, and really the time that was really important for me was when I was done in Denver in 10, and then taking, the number of years that I did to kind of go back through and say, okay, this is how I handled that. This is what I would do now.
Yeah.
And just really kind of look at it and say, okay, I know what I have to do the next time if I ever get one, if I'm blessed to have a shot at it. And it just got to be authentic, and it's got to be you. And I have a different personality than Bill and, than Mike and everybody else. And so you just got to be yourself. And I've learned how to do that more. I'm much more at ease. Distributing things to the guys that are around me. I have a great support staff, and they handle all their stuff. The coaching staff does a great job. And I try to manage the team from the head coach position through my own spirit and, how I interact with them every day. So I'm happy with what we're trying to do. I'm at peace with it, and I know it's authentic.
When you look back, who are some coaches or mentors or people, like when you are looking back at situations like, you can go this way, or guys that you just picked their brain and was kind of like there with you when you were trying to figure out the next step when that next opportunity would come?
Yeah, there was a lot of people that, you had an opportunity to kind of like, see as you were going. And I remember Tony Dungy spent a lot of time. I haven't talked to Tony in a while in that regard, but Tony spent a lot of time talking to me, when I was in St. Louis, right after the Denver situation, just about, looking inside yourself and evaluate everything you did, A to Z, and try to figure out, like, is that really what you want to do the next time or not, And there's many other people that were great during that process, including Bill, because I asked Bill some things, and he understood the scenario. You got to be you and be yourself and do what you believe in, but do it your way.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, he brought up
journalism.
He brought up Tony Dungy. He has a phenomenal book. I forget what it's called, but I did read it in college, and he had a lot of. Seems like he'd be a good mentor to sit with and talk to you about all that kind of stuff.
He did a great job of giving me some advice.
What happened with the Colts? You're about to go to the Colts. The rumor is, which is obviously people know of the rumors of like, oh, he went back to New England because he's just going to be the coach in waiting when Bill leaves and all that. Like, I feel like everybody knows that's not.
I feel like it's a
answer.
2-part question though. Like, what happened with the Colts, and were you the coach in waiting?
No, the second part, no. That was never part of any conversation that I was a part of. It just, that process, as we all know, is a little bit different. When you're done with a season and then you go into that interview process and it's so quick, especially when you're still playing, and you don't get as much time to really devote to that whole thing as you really want, And so I interviewed with a few teams that year while we were in the playoffs. I think it was during our bye. I think we had the bye. And, you're trying to balance that with, getting ready to play a really important, your most important game of your season, and ultimately try to compete for a championship. And so, I just felt like as I kind of closed the loop there, we went to Minneapolis for the Super Bowl, was still kind of going through that process in my own mind. It just, at the end of the day, didn't feel like it was the right decision, and I know the timing was awkward, awful, I didn't want to do that to anybody either. That was something that I regret in that regard, but I didn't feel like just because the timing was bad, I should go ahead and make a bad decision that I thought wasn't good for me or them. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, unfortunately it played out the way it did. I think we're probably fortunate. Like Frank went there and did a great job, obviously. And, I stayed where I was and tried to continue growing and overcome that as best I can.
It's like it sounds like it's like you're in the interview process. You're excited.
Yeah.
You're going to get another opportunity. Not saying that there's anything bad that goes on in Indianapolis, but
No.
you get time to do more due diligence, whatever it may be, and whatever loose ends don't get tied up. You're like, this kind of sucks. I got to kind of go back. But it seems like this was the better opportunity to go back to New England. It
was the right decision for me. Again, like I said, I don't think that it was the easy decision.
Yeah.
I certainly took my share of flack, deservedly so, for the timing of it. And I regret that, you know what I mean? Because I have a great deal of respect for Chris, Mr. Irsay. The people that I met through that process were great to me. So, again, that was on me.
Obviously that happened, and then now you're here, the Raiders. What are you looking at that roster, brother? You guys are fucking stacked.
You're missing one. You're missing one piece, but
you're missing a 4-4 linebacker.
You're missing a core
Lord, all right, there we go.
Three core special teamer, but
What are you guys weighing nowadays? Look at you, huh? Oh, look at you.
You see the fucking arms coming out of this
my
thing,
God.
right?
Aaron hit a putz there, right? We can do a little workout in this room if you need
No
to.
question. There's enough room in here too. Will can work in a phone booth.
Yeah.
I think Dave's done a good job of really, when you come to a new place, you're trying to figure out, who's there that fits your vision of how you want to play. That isn't an easy process to go through. And every time there's a change, there's ultimately potential changes that are going to take place on the roster, the staff, et cetera, because it's just not the right fit for how you see defense or offense or special teams. And so, we've had an opportunity to do such over 18 or 19 months here. We've changed over a decent chunk of the roster, and that happens to every team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we've added competition at most of the spots that we wanted to try to do that in. And right now we're having a competitive camp. Today was a competitive practice, and, we're going to keep trying to push that as much as we can. But I think what we've done is we've added some younger players and some players from outside that we feel like have a chance to fit us really well. And now we're trying to blend them together.
Dude, how awesome is wearing the silver and black?
Awesome.
It is the coolest colors.
It is. It's
And
I
the
remember
move to Vegas.
First time I saw the uniform last year when we came out for pregame warmups, in the Hall of Fame game, I'm like, this is that uniform that I've thought about like for years and years and years. You saw all these Hall of Fame players wearing it, and you're like, this is a bad uniform.
Dude, it really is. I think we did a tier talk, which is one of our segments on the show, and it was like, that is
coolest
that was
jerseys
across the board, the best uniform.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, everybody kind of like the silver helmet, the black jerseys.
Yes.
It just looks
You
cool.
get to sneak a little darker visor every now and then.
Are you
It's
guys
really
doing
cool.
a little anything different this year? Because I know there's a lot of the
With the helmets
retros coming out, but like, are you guys doing
our
anything
uniform?
unique? Yeah,
No.
nothing.
No.
Not like you have
I don't
to
think we
do,
need
man.
to.
You
Yeah,
don't have to. Yeah,
We don't
Maybe
need
you
to.
just wear the old
Spice it
school
up once in a
helmets.
while.
Ours hasn't changed radically from what it was.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing now is a lot of the teams that have like gone through changes are now like trying to like bring back the retro version of what they're wearing.
Right.
Yeah.
We have the same one.
Yeah.
And it
You know
goes
what I mean?
hard.
Basically.
Yeah.
Raiders should ultimately like open up the sleeves, wear like the single bar helmets, just bring
T-bar. Bring the
yeah,
T-bar
You gotta
back.
tape your fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
Just
gloves
do it.
allowed.
I just saw Fred Biletnikoff the other day at our preseason game, and we were talking about that because I mean back then he was wearing that stuff.
Yeah.
That was it. Stick
Yeah.
them and all that stuff was in vogue. So
We interrupt this episode to talk to you about the Bussin Bowl. Nebraska versus Michigan. It is a trophy game. And with the trophy game, we needed a scent that embodied the trophy game. We partnered with Duke Cannon on creating a scent that embodies this trophy game, the Bussin Bowl, called the Trophy Game. It was created with support from the Bussin' with the Boys team and is now available in thick body wash and the big ass brick of soap. The idea was hatched at the Bussin Bowl with the Duke Cannon team, and we wanted to bring a scent that celebrates college football and all of its greatest rivalries, your trophy game. It has notes of smoked leather and amber and smells like collegiate bragging rights, not your randomly assigned freshman roommate. Thick, high viscosity body wash that is formulated built to work effectively on your body and not spew down the shower drain. The big ass brick of soap is 3 times bigger than the common bar of soap that you use that needs to be in the trash, and it's triple milled for superior quality and made with natural oils. Find the new Duke Cannon scent at dukecannon.com/trophy game. And again, this soap, this scent was picked by the nostrils and the noses of yours truly, myself, and Taylor Lewan. So we can't wait to hear what you guys hear about it, but it is at dukecannon.com/trophy game. Back to the episode. What coach on the staff has brings out the comedic relief in some
Rob
serious
Ryan.
meetings?
Rob Ryan.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, no doubt. We mic him like religiously when it's like we feel like we're bored. You know what I mean? It's like they always come like, who do you want to
Go on-
mic?
go on,
Put it
Mike.
on Rob.
Put it on Rob.
Because he says shit like all the time,
Yeah.
whether it's about himself, the defense, the period we're going to. It's like a running commentary, and then you show snippets of that to the fellas, and they get a kick out of it.
What is go ahead.
I was going to say, let's talk about joint practices for a second because we're
Mhm.
obviously not in Las Vegas right now.
Yep.
You feel very strongly that joint practices are the thing to do in camp?
I think that depends on who you're talking about. Like to me, we look at it if the team that we could do it with, that the schedule comes out that we have to play in the preseason makes sense for us to do it against, then we go ahead and do it. For us, the 2 teams that, we've chosen to do it with this year made a lot of sense for ourselves. We play teams that definitely feature this style of defense that LA uses right now. Staley in the Chargers. There's some other people that we're going to play this year that have the same kind of defense. We don't see that defense in training camp from our own team.
Yeah.
So if it didn't fit structurally like that, I'm not sure that we would want to do it. But I felt like the competition against San Francisco, the style that they play, I thought that was really quality work for us to kind of get going in the preseason. And then to have the opportunity to do that with Sean in LA, it makes a lot of sense for us just for a multitude of reasons. And they're obviously a well-coached first-class organization. So this is a good day, not always good for us on the field, but it was a good day.
It's a bloodbath.
It's
a fucking bloodbath.
Players, you always get that tension that rise. I'm sure with coaches too, but it's like you just feel that
Yeah.
we're about to join practice.
I feel
Like,
like-
is there a fight gonna break out?
Yeah. I feel like coaches are always like the general, like watching the war go down. They feel good about their strategy. Hopefully their men just produce.
Yeah. You're
It
like,
always
don't
goes-
fight, but you also muster up enough to be like,
Yeah.
don't get fucking bullied.
You got to go to the line.
Yeah.
Gotta go to the-
You got to go to the
That's
line.
that's the
If you
phrase
don't
too.
go to the line, you
line.
get your ass kicked.
Don't
and
go
then-
over the line, though,
Then
fellas.
everybody's pissed about it. And then if you go over the line, then you're pissed about it because that's not why we're here. So I don't know. We were staying behind the line a little bit maybe at the beginning today. Then we got up to the line, and then we crossed it a little bit. Then we got it back behind the line. So
Or is it kind of like you go up and maybe like nudge Max, like, hey, get over the line a little bit?
no, I don't have to nudge Max at all. If I have to do anything, I have to pull
the
Max
reins on
behind the
Max.
line again. So he kind of starts practice over the line, and then you just kind of try to see if you can rear him in.
Yeah, I've been hearing that he's like an assassin out there. I'm tight with Amir Abdullah, and he's like, bro, Max is like the hardest worker I've ever been around.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about Max a little bit?
Yeah, he's rare. This is 23 years for me. So I've had a handful of guys that are like this, but not many. Where just every single day he can muster up the urgency, the energy, the desire, the effort, the competitive nature, just every single rep, every single day. Like you never have to worry if his car's in the parking lot at 5:30 because it's already there in the morning. And he does everything possible to help himself be the best player he can be, to help our team. And he's also learning, I think this is really a cool phase for him. He's learning how to also transfer that to others, and it's one thing to be able to do it on your own. It's another thing to try to infect the rest of your teammates with it and then get as many of those guys to do that as you can. So we're seeing that right in front of our eyes. He's developing into that kind of a leader, and he's an incredible person, and he's a really good football player.
He's definitely a guy you want on your team.
100%. Every single day.
Yeah.
You don't ever have to worry about his level. You know what I mean? And really what he's trying to do is get everybody to try to play up to that every day. And that's only a good thing.
Yeah.
Out of Eastern Michigan.
I know.
Like so fucking random.
And he was kind of scrawny when he came out, and he just the toughness. It's hard to measure toughness.
Yeah.
You got the combine and you can say his height and his weight and his 40 and all that, but relative to his effort, his toughness, his motor, his love for football and all that, I mean, it's impossible to measure all that.
What about playing sound defense?
Mm-hmm.
Does he play a lot of that?
He does now, but that's a great question because when you have a guy like that, you build your defense around people like that, and so to try to take him and say, hey, just do this and don't be as good as you could be because it fits something on the whiteboard, I don't really know what's the point of that.
Yeah.
When you have a guy it's like saying, hey, Randy Moss, here's what I want you to do. I want you to run some curls and some short routes because that's what we do.
Right.
Well, when you have Randy, you go deep and you draw different routes that are different for him, and then you build the rest of the offense around him. I'd say the same thing about Maxx with defense is, okay, in order for him to be as great as he can be, which would help our team, then we got to build the rest of it around him. So, hey, if we want to give him a little freedom to go inside or outside, that's fine, as long as the rest of them know about it.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do as we go into our second year here. We know him a lot more. Now we know who we have around him. Build it around that, and just, we'll see how it all turns out.
Max, don't hear this and think you can just go fucking rogue.
No, that's exactly what he does, though.
No. We've built it such that he has some freedom, which he should. Like I said, if he doesn't have freedom, I'm caging an animal that doesn't need to be caged. You know what I mean? And just let's let him go ahead and do his thing. Sometimes he has to be disciplined in that regard, and other times he can do himself.
Imagine being Max watching this right now. Just
that's why I had to say that. Then he stopped me again.
Really good. Max is really, and the guy that he reminds me of in the way you talk about it is JJ Watt, because JJ was a dude that
same thing
never played sound defense. If you were to put up a chart and be like, you have the C gap in this situation. He's not going to have
maybe a couple times. I'm sure a few times.
Well, that's why you'd also see he'd have like 50 TFLs in a
no
year.
doubt. No doubt. But swimming backside.
Teams would break, like the Patriots, who played super sound. They'd break that 60-yard touchdown because he would take the B gap when he should have the C gap.
Yeah.
And that linebacker wasn't covering the C gap.
I understand that. And I think, again, as long as he's doing it within the scope of the defense, again, that's the responsibility of the staff around him and all the rest of it. But like there wasn't too many guys that I disliked playing more against than JJ Watt.
No question.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, he might not have been doing what he was supposed to do, but he was still a pain in the ass.
Disruptor.
And same thing with Aaron Donald. It's like, I think they're both disciplined, enough, and that they're so talented that they just, they want to go behind the block and make the tackle. They want to go ahead and rip through it. They want to go ahead and call the game on second down when it wasn't called in the, you know what I mean? Like they just do things, and they have a different ability to do it.
When you had did you have anything to continue? Go ahead.
I was going to add to that, like predictability, being an offense, looking at a defense is when it's predictable, it's the greatest thing in the world. When you have a guy that's going to play the C gap the whole time, you can run fit him exactly how you want to. You can do play actions exactly how you want to. There's not a better feeling in the world.
Agreed.
But when you get guys like Maxx, guys like TJ, guys like JJ, Aaron Donald, there is a level of anxiety that goes through your body as an offensive lineman.
I'm sure.
Where you're like, fuck, man, these guys, I can't run off the ball the way I want to. I can't.
You play
action.
less. You play less. You're a little
aggressive.
hesitant. You're
It's a level of chess you now have to get into, other
Yeah.
than just, hey,
You
we
don't
got to
wanna
make
do-
sure whoever's got better technique is going to win.
Yeah.
Now it's like, what fastball is he throwing? Do I need to do something different this time?
Yep.
And you get in this like dance with this individual.
And that's
that
where
makes it so
that's
hard.
where the scheming part of it, once you get to the regular season, I would say has some element of it factors into the equation.
Mhm.
You know, because like with JJ, I used to hate running away from JJ because you run away from him. It didn't matter if he beat the tackle across his face or went behind the tackle and then ran it down from behind. It just was it was an impossibility to get him blocked.
Yeah.
And so then schematically you go at him. And it's like, so all our runs this week in this category are all right. We're not going left on those because we can't make them work. You know what I mean? So I think that's where the coach has to help sometimes in terms of how do we avoid this being a big problem? I mean, we deal with it every day in practice. You know, it's a pain in the ass. Like, Patrick, which plays is Maxx in for? Okay, 1 through 6. All right, so we got a screen. We have a draw. You know what I mean? It's like we can't just, hey, run inside zone at him
Right.
and go, why didn't it work?
Yeah,
Sometimes
get
it
the
doesn't
Y
work.
to go ahead and block that.
Right.
Hold him off just enough to make it through.
You got it.
like
It's not a good.
shot,
It's
brother.
not a good thing.
Just get in the way a little.
I don't like to do that a lot in training camp, but for those guys, Richard Seymour was another guy that when we practiced against him was like, if you don't take that into account, your practice is going to be a mess.
Yeah.
And so you actually are quote unquote game planning your own practice against your own defense, which you don't really love to do. You just want to test your rules and shit like that. But these guys require you to do such. So
It's a good problem to have.
it's a great problem if you're the coach.
Yeah.
And the guy on the other side too, Chandler Jones.
Yeah.
Word on the street is my man's looking lean, looking ready, looking speedy.
Yeah, and we just got Tyree out there too today. So we're trying to add that depth there. You know, Chan has been such a great leader for us, and you know was really productive in the running game last year, and did a good job. You know, with what we did, and we're trying to look for all those guys to kind of help us do a little bit more in the pass rush, and I'm excited about the group right now as it stands.
We interrupt this episode to bring you Peloton. Listen, working out is tough. Working out consistently and finding a program that sticks, even tougher. You probably know that Peloton, as the people who make bikes, but they also make the Peloton tread, the Peloton rower, and even the Peloton app, which you can now access for free. It's got classes like yoga, strength training, HIIT cardio, and boxing that can be done wherever, whenever. Perfect to bring with you during the summer months when you're out and about, living the hotel life, wherever you may be. The Peloton app has a workout for you. They don't feel like regular workout classes, and they feel like entertainment. They're fun, exhilarating, laugh out loud, hilarious, people say, and make you want to come back to them over and over and over. Peloton's classes are designed to fit in your life wherever, whenever. Whether you have 5 minutes or 20 minutes, there is a workout for you. You can strength train, run, walk, row, or choose from one of the other 12 plus disciplines and 85 plus classes that depend on your needs. Ready to give it a try? Get started and download the free Peloton app today. Peloton app is available through free tier or paid subscription. Paid memberships start at just $12.99 per month. Back to the episode. You brought up Randy Moss earlier. When you're coaching somebody like Randy, is it like kind of like you have like a cheat code going on during that year?
I mean, it's Rob, Gronkowski, Moss, you know, some of these guys that you know, it's tough to Devontae today, you know, it's tough to cover them with a single player, you know, and so the one thing you learn over time is, you know, okay, if they take him away, what do you need to do to still be productive without taking him out of the game yourself?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, yeah, they can play cover 2 and roll to him. Well, you got it. You can't just say, all right, well, Randy's not going to catch any passes today. You still have to work to try to figure out how to do that, you know, when they're trying to take it away. So there's a little bit of a chess match involved with that. But if they give you single coverage against some of those guys, it doesn't have to be real hard with the quarterback.
Yeah.
It's like, look, if they roll to the middle of the field and that guy's over there one-on-one, you know, like, I don't really care what the rest of the play is. Like, the ball should go over there.
Yeah.
And so there's only a few guys that you can say that about, but when you have one of them, it feels good.
It's such a complex game. Simplifying it that way helps so much more.
Yeah.
The quarterback's got so many things going on in his head and protections and where's the front and who's blitzing and all the rest of his stuff.
Yeah.
And he sees this guy go to the middle and he's like, great.
Yeah,
Just
just
throwing this one-on-one.
Right.
throw the ball to
You know what I mean?
Randy.
That's what you try to do.
Yeah.
How fun was it coaching Gronk?
Awesome. He was, tough, physical, practiced really hard, smart. You could do so many different things with him. He worked hard in practice every day. He tried to get better at the little things. He blocked. You know what I mean? Like, he's the first guy out there and it's 9-on-7 and like, he's like, hey, bring it behind me. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of tight ends that are doing that. You know what I mean? So he was a complete tight end. And those guys are, as you guys know, they're less and less. It's hard to find them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where, they can factor in the running game, factor in the passing game, factor on third down, factor in the red zone. And this guy, not only was he all that, but he was also great fun to be around. And it was, it was really fun to coach.
Elite bro.
Huh?
He was an elite bro.
He was
An
an elite
elite
bro.
bro.
There's
Elite
no
bro.
question he was an elite bro.
Blocking, you're right. Like, there's not a whole lot of tight ends that do that very much.
No.
Which I feel like, there's the top two tight ends are Kelsey and Kittle, right? That's
Mhm.
what we're kind of talking about. If
Mhm.
you're building a team,
Yeah.
who you want?
Either one of them. They're different.
That's a very
but
good
they're-
head coach
they're-
answer.
That's right.
They're
Because
different,
I,
right? 'Cause
You like to run the ball a little
No,
bit.
yeah,
I do.
yeah.
I
I
do,
feel
but
like
I
you would
also,
take Kittle, but you don't wanna get Kelsey.
No, I mean they're both. It's almost impossible to stop. We double teamed Kelsey the entire game last year, and he had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That
Wasn't
was
the
on-
game he had like
that
4
was on-
touchdowns, like 24 yards?
Yes,
I was gonna say the
we
same
tried-
thing you
we
guys
basically
did.
said, "Hey, we're not going to let him touch the ball," and then he found a way to touch it anyway in the most critical play of the game in the red zone. Which was was disappointing,
Yeah.
but it was also there's a great player being a great player.
Yeah.
We took him away for 59 minutes of the game. He didn't do a whole lot, but there it is down there in the
How
score
was
zone.
that last year? Like, you brought up the 59 minutes of the game. Like, it felt like the boys always played solid
Mhm.
until that fourth quarter, until later
Yeah.
in the game, and just a play or two that matter.
Yeah, we have to get better at that. That's not just that's a everybody. Coaching, playing, situational awareness. We had leads, and we got to learn how to close. You know what I mean? It's like being ahead in a boxing match, and instead of being content and saying, "Hey, let's just win it on points," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go knock the guy out. And so, if we get in that situation again this year, hopefully we'll have a better idea of what we need to do to keep playing the way we're playing, because that's how we got the lead. And so we didn't quite establish that last year, and that's my fault. So we have to do a better job. No doubt about it.
Last one, favorite movie.
Favorite movie? Oh boy. I like
Hard hitting shit. As
Yeah.
I know, there it
That
is.
was-
It's like, okay, good. One more, coach. Favorite movie.
Heat with Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Tombstone.
Phenomenal.
Like
There we go.
Tombstone.
One of those.
Phenomenal movie.
Rock Holiday. This is-
And A Few Good Men.
That's a fucking. I've just
Saw that
watched one
recently.
There you go.
That
Yeah.
is. Do you ever pull the Tombstone? What's up?
You got to go.
I know. But
Go
do you
ahead.
ever pull the Tombstone clip where he talks about like bitch slapping the dude in the bar, like as like a motivating,
I
inspiring?
haven't done it yet. That's
You
a good
should bring
idea. I
that
love
up,
that.
bro.
I love.
But then, hey, whoever the video the video guys, man, get that
That's
in
awesome.
there.
That's
Coach,
awesome.
We really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, you're the
man.
man.
It was
Appreciate
awesome.
you guys.
It was
Love
it was
your
a great
show.
time. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Hey, man. Appreciate it. That was awesome.
Have you seen